It's the lobby that's trying to put money into our political races all over the countries to get rid of progressive. Now, some of you act like I didn't know that. Yes, you did know it. And you got to stop supporting candidates who are supported by APAC or willing to take APAC money. They don't have to take it. But if they take the money, it ain't getting it for free. It's getting it because they expected to do something. Now, you don't need me to say no more about that. I'm just putting it out there. And no shade on Mr. Kennedy for running for office, but there is shade if he's going to accept APAC money. I say no. I do not support it. And I don't think anyone should support it in this time when so much terribleness is going on around issues related to APAC. Murray has come in, and as I mentioned, we're going to drop in and talk about what has happened on Center Street. And he has a particular twist, or not even a twist. He just has a, a, a ball right across home plate that might annoy some, but ought to make some go, but you shouldn't go, too much because look, I'm not hard on politicals, but I think if they're going to serve us, doggone it, they need to serve us, and they need to serve us better than what they've been doing. And if they upset that with me saying that, they should come and tell me how wrong I am if I'm wrong. But I know I ain't wrong. I'm telling you what I know, and I will tell it to anyone anywhere. Well, now that Mary just sat down here, say hello.
Hello, everyone.
But you can say more than hello.
Yes,
you know
I'm
that.
so blessed to be on the Jim Anderson show. I lost my wallet and had to.
Got a lot of money in?
Austin, when a man loses a wallet, he has lost a lot.
Yes.
And all your information, your livelihood is there.
Yep.
And so, with that being said, I was canceling credit cards this morning and all that thing. And but I was here in the studio yesterday with the lightsabers. And so never to think, I asked my wife what my wallet was at. She didn't know. So I guess she was clear on that point, not to get the money out. But then all of a sudden, I came in here to before us, the great man of God that speaks every day on the air. He had my wallet. You see how God works.
So where did he find it?
He found it right there where Austin was sitting at.
All right.
When your wallet is heavy, you take it out your back pocket because you can start getting certain sciatic nerves and things like that. That's why men should put their wallet in their back pocket. But he found it, and I'm blessed there. But we waiting to do this shakeup and talk about what happened on Center Street, what is happening in our community when things like this happen, and folks come out. The Black community, Bangladesh community, white community, whatever community, is important to see how things happen when a homicide happens in our community. What's the difference from response and reaction? Let's be clear on that, because the response comes out with us going out, our organizations and independent people going out, and then all of a sudden some other people from City Hall, or might be the county, or might be the state, they'll come out and help in that direction. But if you're going to have it's got to be even playing field for all homicides in the city of Buffalo, because they need to see the support of those officers.
Go into the difference in the response that has been by the political administration and law enforcement as it relates to the Center Street shooting of the two gentlemen. Say a little bit more. How does that differ from how they respond to, let's say, if the peacekeepers call them?
Well, if we call them, they come out. That's different. Sometimes community people lose a loved one in our community, and they want to know, where's the mayor, or where is this person, where is that? And sometimes the mayor is busy, built up. But in this situation here, it's a little bit different. It's not like your average homicide, apparently, because they called a call. The Bangladesh community called a call. They didn't call none of our organizations to be there, but they got a big response. I seen this happening on William Street when the young.
They got a big response from
from the city of Buffalo, and and so they were there to show that they were going to work on this case. They work on all cases, but I noticed that when something happens to them, that the response is a little bit different. Our community as well, like, wow, so when you see it like it happened years ago on William Street, The reward goes up. You have Crime Stoppers have it out the next, not even one day afterwards. And then when we have young men that's killed in the city of Buffalo here, it doesn't make it to Crime Stoppers that fast.
What do you think caused that?
I just think that, our neighborhoods are changing. The question was asked for me was, what do you think? Will this make crime go up? I said this was an isolated incident. All homicides are isolated incidents, but it's just a matter of us coming on shows like this here and talking about it and see what's going to happen when the next homicide happens. Is it going to be the same type of result? Is it going to get the same type of response in our community?
Well, I know it troubled me that I heard you say they respond when peacekeepers call them, but I don't think peacekeepers should have to be the gap between calling them out and whether or not they come. And so if they responded to the Bangladesh community in a particularly unusual and out of the way, or not usually how they respond to the community on the east side, I find that troubling. And I don't think peacekeepers, anybody should be put on the spot as the gatekeepers.
Right.
I know y'all, the work that you do, but I don't think the administration say, well, they didn't call us, so we don't come.
Right.
And I don't think the administration will say, well, they got to call us in order for us to come. But if there's the response difference to the Bangladesh community is unusual in their response.
Even with the
then
Buffalo
I think
News,
you need to point it out.
Buffalo News had an article in the paper, and right now they were talking about this division. It's not a division with Black folks and Bangladesh folks. It's a division on how things are pushed out in our community when resources is there and things like this happen. It's more to the story. But maybe that'll make us a little bit stronger than what we are.
Perhaps those council people a whole lot.
Yes.
A real community. Council people could hold a meeting and invite everybody out.
Invite everybody.
That would be nice. I think I would like to see that of some of these council members instead of seeing all these flashback fashion show kind of stuff and stuff that is not really in policy range.
Right.
Stuff that anybody could do. I'm not mad that they do it, but it would be better if they were on the policies and production there. And that,
or it's not scared to come to the Jim Anderson show and talk about it. And
they ain't gonna do that. They only come by with.
Or they want to, I'm one that will not shut up. I'm not bought. I rest easily at night because the issue is the issue with our community, and that's what it is. It's my community is talking through me, and those issues there. And the young folks were there, Austin, and they were kind of amazed at what happened there, and then to see that Facebook, let's go on your level there, AI and all that stuff there. The scene, they wasn't sensitive to what was there to our community to show people that has been deceased on Facebook and just running it. That right there is just disrespectful to me to our community. How do you feel about that?
Say that again.
On your Facebook pages, they were like streaming the stuff of the loved one that was lost on the porch, the deceased, and they was showing that they was going too deep into not having respect for that person that just lost their life laying there, and that's not fair to our community when you seeing things like that there of loved ones already laid out, and then everyone is just filming it. It's been posted.
People in the community.
But Facebook, this is what we're dealing with. Facebook, on the issues of just pushing out information, not screening the right type of information. That's what I'm asking Austin. How you feel about that?
I think that is hard, right? I think people have a right to emotionally feel. You should give people that space, and as a society, I hope that we will understand that, when someone that you care about passed away, that's not easy for anybody. It's not easy for the community that's behind it. But I think that it's also important that we highlight how real that grief is. And so I think it's kind of this double-edged sword where you want to build awareness so people understand that homicide isn't a family issue, a beef issue. It's a Buffalo. It's a people issue, but it's a Buffalo issue. So I think that that's a really fine line. I think it comes down to me, respect. And like you said, it's just asking questions. Hey, is it okay if we post this? Can we get a quick blur? But my overall opinion on the whole instance is this. Would you guys say that Bangladeshi people vote? Would you say that community comes out and votes?
Yes.
And so I think that when we're coming up on a day like tomorrow, listen, this country is built on capitalism. This is not let me do the best that I can and lose the most money. This is how can I do the least amount of work and makes the most profit. And I think we have to look at it from the political side. When you see such a reaction, not only on your medias, but from your represented officials, the question becomes, who are they coming out for? And to me, if I'm an elected official, I remember we had another person who's running for government in here who said that when they're running for mayor, they don't go to every house. They go to the houses that vote.
Right.
And so if we're not the communities that vote, and we're the people that are just so docile and okay with letting people stay in office, they're never gonna come out and act because we have no. What happens if they don't? Because if they didn't come out to that community, I bet you there might be someone different in office. But if we're not saying that we're going to utilize our voting power, I think this is a terrible situation. But to me, it just further exemplifies how far we have gotten as a community from using our political voice. And we're letting, like we said, now it's coming over even onto the civilian side, even into our passings and our violence, where if we cannot get that government support, look, again, to me as a young person, this just shows me what I believe, which is until we utilize this voting system, we're gonna struggle. We're gonna struggle.
You're absolutely right. Before we go to the phones, I know we got a caller standing by. Before I bring in a caller, I just want to say the lines are open today. You can join in at 716-837-1112, and bring it your way. There's no particular topic. You see what we rolled out so far, but come as you will. And with that said, caller, you're on the air. Welcome.
Yes, good day, gentlemen. A couple of things. One, I haven't heard everything you said, but things that I have heard that triggered me is the idea of being able to paint the Bangladeshi community or the African American community with a broad brush, saying that all are created equal and should be treated the same. There are different types of Bangladeshi people. There are some who are more in line with cooperating with the community. There are some who are very separate. But in terms of the homicide thing, I had the pleasure of attending a conference at Buff State given by the Peace Organization. And there was a sister from Boston, and they developed an organization, a peace center, named after the young brother, the mother of the young brother who her son who lost his life in an incident. We got caught in the crossfire. But they developed a survivor's burial and resource guide and a methodology so that when people are facing those sudden instances that you do not expect, that there's some sort of guidance given, that the police, the EMTs all give this resource guide out to people so that they can figure out ways to navigate this unexpected and unprepared for territory. And I think the peace organization here in Buffalo is going to do something like that, but it seems like such a great idea to give people assistance in situations that they had no idea that they'd be facing. I just wanted to make those two comments. Whether that makes any contribution to your conversation or not, time will tell.
Thank you for sharing.
Well, thank you for calling in. I actually want to reply to what you said. Just to start, I think, yes, it's an absolutely great idea to give people instructions. I don't think we should wait until the car breaks to get out and look at that weird noise. I think, no, we should be proactive. We should give people the resources because we know that whether it's malicious or natural causing, people are going to pass away. And I think that as much as we say we're prepared, people are never prepared till it happens. But to your earlier point when you said, I think it's dangerous to paint broad strokes, I do think it's dangerous. And I think that there's also a danger when we go too far in and we look too far at each individual hair of the brush, because what happens is while we're so focused going case by case basis, the people in power are painting broad strokes upon us. And so I think that for even the question that I said, I'm never going to try to cast a downstroke on the community to say that, do you think Bangladeshi people do this? I asked, do you think that they're politically active? And that same question that Mr. Murray was able to answer is the same mindset that these people in office have when they sit around tables, when they sit around rounds of golf and say, are we going to come out and act on this issue that just transpired in our community? So I think we need to look at ourselves as a people and say, yes, we don't want to cast brushstrokes on everybody's life, but what is the brushstroke that reflects us? And right now, it does not look like we are a group of people who can mobilize and unionize and use the efforts and the powers that we have in this community to make a change. I haven't seen it on the local level. I haven't seen it on the national level. I haven't even seen it on the international level when it comes to peace talks with God. So I think we have to really look at ourselves and say, yes, this is not the game we want to play, but it's the game that we've been given. And so we got to look at it and understand that you can only change the rules once we have the power within the preset system. And right now we don't have the power, and we need to figure out how to play the game and stop complaining about it. Not to say that you were, but I think that that's more of how I think we need to, as a community, think, because yes, I am not Jim and Jim is not Murray. But if every Black person is painted within the same light, then we basically are the same.
So what you're saying is skin in. And what we can say was skin in over there in that area on Zenner Street is because Stop the Violence Coalition and the Western York Peacemakers had a house built over there. And that was burnt down through drug dealers didn't want us there. So now we have a second house there that we have a peacemaker live right on Zenner Street in that house there. So things were in place already. The Bailey Green project is over there in that area. It's not gentrification that was getting ready to happen. We're putting homes and things like that. There are people that's working at Harmac and then living there. So the area is not just being changed over totally to one certain particular group of people. And so what you have going on right now is now we back at the table. I have talked to John Summer from Harmac. I will get him on the show here. He is one that we can reach. And that's what the problem is. They so scared to come into the studio and talk about what's true and what's real. And so he will come in here and talk about his vision, how he feels about the Bailey Green area, Skajaqua area, and Genesee area on growth, gardening. Allison Mahoney just opened a hydroponics here right across the street from that location. And she just left there no more than 15 minutes before this happened. And we saying that we want to give safe passage to everyone that's in that community. Things happen. Things go array. So that's what we at. But we're going to make the Bailey Green project work because it went dormant because of COVID and things like that there. So now we get ready to get back to the table. I need our house built. You see what I'm saying? They wanted to build it for $1 million. I said, no, let's build it for $500,000 and let's be done with it. I don't want to keep going and try to get a high price on something when our community's hurting.
Oh, piece of your org is building this house.
Yes, we're building the house right on Kilharfer, where our old house was burnt down when some folks gave some crackheads some money to burn the house down, and that was a racism act. So it was fouled, and they went to jail for that on that level. But now, being that this happened, we have skin in to be saying, let's put our house up faster, put a model up. Don't build it from the ground up. Give me some models and put them together and do economics and get it right.
I have a question. When the house burned down, was there community outrage and were people outraged, or was it just like one of those things where it's like, that's unfortunate? Because even the way that you just said it, this is what I'm talking about to the caller. You just said a house got burnt down and we just moved past it. Like that's supposed to be cool for Black people. Yeah. Like I look in the Challenger and the Criterion, I see, young man indicted for murder, and I turn the page like that's normal. And so we can sit here all day and talk about individual brushstrokes, but until we as people get outraged by what's happening, we've gotten so comfortable with suffering. That is the brushstroke. And so I think, yes, we all need to look at our lives individually, but we represent something bigger. And right now, when I see my people, all I see are people who are used to suffering, because that's not normal. Like what you're saying is not normal, but we're gonna act like it's cool because we're Black. Like, and if it was somebody of a different race, we would have had Twitter headlines. And this is what I'm saying: we don't even know what good looks like. We're so used to this, like this is normal. So, as a young person, this is just like we are so far disenfranchised from what our experience should be in the country. I'm not surprised anymore.
Well, keep hope alive, but I could tell you some more history about the area, because back in the early 2000s when we were doing community gardens over there on Center Street.
Yes.
And not only that, you have the Crucial Center over there. You even have the Juneteenth. It's located in the area.
Yes.
In other words, what I'm pointing out, you got plenty of churches in the area. What I'm trying to point out is we have institutions and businesses there that can help engage in holding up the community. It's not a runaway community. It's just that people have to be accountable. Look, during those time, a lot of people went through the fear, well, I don't want to say nothing because they felt intimidation. I look at that two ways. There might have been some, but certainly a whole lot of folks should not be hiding behind that excuse.
Right.
There are more decent people living in that area.
Yes.
Who can do more to support. Look, a couple of blocks there, you have former police officers who are very much involved with organizing. And I'm just saying that community, along with our political representatives, could do a lot more. But I think our political representatives are the ones that have to help to bring additional support to that community to enable and to gird up, dare I say, the decent people of the community. You're right. A lot of young people are disconnected from their daily issues. They're so busy in children world in their mind that they don't think about some of the things that they think adults are dealing with. But it is time for everybody in the community, from the youngest to the oldest, to get on the ball and start understanding you build community with everybody in there, everybody that's working to build it. Those who are not, you identify them and you find a way, if there's some help that could be provided for them to get them on the right side, you deal with it. But if there are other measures you have to take, you take. I say communities have to stop practicing excusiology as if they're too helpless. They're not helpless. Look, I'm not going to come down on, but I am coming down on folks, people who know if people can say something is wrong, then they ought to be saying, what are they doing about it? If they can't say what they're doing about it, if they say, well, I called so-and-so, that ain't enough. Sometimes it's occupying your street yourself. What would happen if a group of 20 decent folks decided that we're going to set up something nice on this corner or in this block and get it going and do that? What would happen? Well, we don't know who's done it.
So, Mr. Anderson, you are so on point, but when you look at Genesee Street, for prime example, which crosses like 3 different districts.
Yep.
Lovejoy, it crosses Maston, it crosses Fillmore District.
Yep.
And you have not seen growth on those strips. You see vacant lots that should have had something going on right now. It should have been groundbreaking, shovels being put in the ground years ago. And it's just been sitting there idle. And then we playing these games here. So it's sooner or later, Juneteenth, I'm on the board for Juneteenth. We going through a desert in order for us to have a great time and show who we are. But if we can build up that neighborhood, those communities, and now we can see an investment. Because Genesee Street at one time was a beautiful street to come down. And down when you come towards our area or those areas, it's just lot. But there are some Jews that's in that area that can probably help us out. And I'm saying Benny the Butcher is from that area. See what I'm saying? So it's time for him to invest some resources in that area as well. Our church is on Goodyear Avenue. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to necessarily put a line and divide. You can say we going all the way down and let's bring growth. And that's
it should be a division.
Yes.
You're right.
Yes.
Imagine what would happen if the 3 councilmatic district representatives met in that area and held a community meeting in that area, because they all touch in there about what, and then she bound to what we gonna do. I don't see nothing that we, speaking of those 3 council people, can say they're gonna do. And this is the problem. Our elected leaders aren't doing what they should do. I wouldn't kid when I say they're more on this fashion show and doing things that are like a one-day event. Where is the political work and policy work that they're doing in those areas?
Not just
Where
speed
are
bumps.
they?
Not just speed bumps.
Not yeah, I'm not yeah, not speed bumps. I mean, it's shameful, and they shouldn't take it personal, because when you take the job as a council person, you understand that you there to represent the concerns of the people. You can't get in there and start canceling out people, because they cancel out a lot of part of the community and they belittle a lot of part of the community. They sometimes act like they better than. They ain't better than. In fact, the way they're behaving is showing they're worse than. And community people, you gotta get wiser on who we elect and why we elect them. Forget the fashion show. Forget the popularity. What are they doing for real?
Tim Anderson is back, y'all.
Well, that's the mindset that we talked about, where I've been talking about, where we have to recognize what it really is. It isn't even red or blue. It's those who have it and those that need it. And those are really the only two parties that we are. We need to start voting for better, not by loyalty, because we're looking for loyalty in a game with these.
Right.
Not to say the government is evil, but what I'm saying is these very same Democrats that we swear loyalty to wanted slaves. Wait, yeah, this very same, Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. And so I think we just got to look at our history and say, are we looking for loyalty? Are we voting for people, or are we voting for platforms? But what that requires, that a lot of people don't want to do, is you got to take accountability and take it in your own hands. You got to go home and say, before I cast this ballot vote tomorrow, why? Wow. A lot of people don't want to ask why. They just want to vote because they look like me, they sound like me, or I like that color better than the other one.
I think you're
but we don't know. We aren't doing that research. And for the young part, talking about the young perspective, because we're so I'm a part of a people who are so used to it is what it is, and they aren't doing the research. We weren't taught these skills. Go ask the average young person, how do you do research on your ballot before you pick it, and they will get lost on the second word of that sentence.
And I would
because we just don't have the experiences.
You only gonna vote across the line.
You only
don't vote across the line.
And all the people in the community that tell me to vote, just tell me vote blue. You're not giving me no help. You're not telling me how to look in the newspaper or online. You're just telling me vote blue across, and you can't even tell me why.
And people themselves should know that themselves. Somebody told you to walk out in front of a car, you wouldn't do it. You use your own mind then. And so what I'm saying, the people who can hear me and those who can't hear me, you go tell them I said it. One of the things about tomorrow, before you go vote, ask yourself why the Democratic representative running for the congressional seat in the 26th district hasn't made any comment on what's happening in Gaza and with Israel. Where does he stand? How long are we going to see headlines and hear stories of so much bloodshed, inordinate amount of bloodshed, and he hasn't said one word?
In Haiti.
And he's getting ready. He want to run for a congressional office in which the main dialogue now is around that, about not to give more guns and weapons to Israel and to stop the killing, to have a ceasefire. Where does he stand on that? And if you run into a rally talking about you support a ceasefire and having pressed that on someone who's going to represent you in office, then you are not doing enough. Press it on them. We're going to a break. We'll be back. I'm angry today because every time I wake up in the mornings and every newspaper, every flash I get, comments I get, always constantly talking about, the war in Israel and how much killing is going on, and nobody's talking about what's being done by electeds to stop it. And to have representatives here and want to be representatives here not speaking about it is shameful.
Or even in Haiti. They're not talking about
They ain't talking about Haiti. They're not talking about Africa. Nothing about Sudan. And I mean,
it's genocide.
Listen, the conversation that will grow people forward has to be on real issues that are happening, not the show business and entertainment kind of like politics that they do. It is so disappointing. And look, when I talk about these people, it's not that I hate them, but I am not going to stand with them when they're on the wrong side of an issue. When they're right, I'm with them. But when they're wrong, I'm not going to stand with them, and I'm going to call them out. And And I know anyone that wants my vote, if you're not speaking at the center issue in the middle that stands, then
Jim, you gotta pull your mic up too.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Just pull it up.
I left the mic behind. I guess I'm trying to not hurt somebody's feelings, but it ain't about feelings. Y'all know what I'm saying. If some of y'all, if you're scared to do it on your own, call me. I'll stand in front. You stand behind me. You know.
Side by side.
You know, you could say you just there to see what's going on. You don't even have to say you're there to do nothing but love community. We got to do better. We don't have to go for this jive tech of so-called politicians we get. And I'm not putting them down. I'm calling them out the way I feel because they are jive. Tiptoe around everything that is mostly important. Anyway, I'm nice. Hey, we back.
I'm about to say, we're right back. I know who was starting there, Jim. I know you were leaving off on a point. If you want to finish up or something.
Well, I hope folks will really think about it. You know, this is not a sports game when we go for elections, any kind of election, whether it be our regular election, primary, general, or special. You need to think about why you would vote for the person you're voting for. I ain't even told you not to, but you need to think about if the things that you find important are important, how are you going to get that person to address it? I wish Tim Kennedy along the way before tomorrow had spoken on this issue. It ain't like he been in a cave, it ain't like he been under a rock, and it ain't like his campaign committee couldn't pull his coat on it. I say shame to all of those who are with him on that and not speaking on the issues that matter.
I have a quick statement, a quick cut up. You're getting a little emotionally tense because it is emotionally important, but I have a quick event that I want to talk about. It's the Black Music Conference Awards. If you're a young musician or an older musician, or you're a part of a band doing gospel, hip hop, jazz, neo soul, or R&B, come check out it's a competition that they're having with a $500 first place prize, as well as a 1 month free podcast, songs played on air, and an on-air interview, as well as prizes for second and third. It's going to be on Sunday, June 23rd from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the M Hotel, which is located at 2040 Walden Avenue, Buffalo, New York, 14225. Again, that is the M Hotel, 2040 Walden Ave, Buffalo, New York, 14225 on June Sunday 23rd from 4 to 7, and come check it out. And if you want to make a call or have more information, 716-834-1080 will be your number. Again, that'll be 716-834-1080. And if you want to join the conversation today live on the air, you can call in at 716.
Register right here at WFO. That's the number.
Yeah, you call the number to register. And if you want to call into the conversation, you can call in at 716. They got a choir and everything. 837-1112. They have a lot of opportunities. So if you make music, just call and ask. Can't even hurt to ask. Give yourself a second. You might make $500 from it. I want to have a quick statement talking on what you were saying, Jim. When I'm thinking about political representatives, what I'm really looking for is how do they treat their constituents? And I look at it out of respect, right? You're not going to try to dupe someone you respect. Right? You're not going to try to buy out or sell someone you respect. And if I look at it from the analogy people always use of giving people fish or teaching them how to fish, if you really respected somebody, you would teach them how to fish. But all I see is that we keep taking fish and voting people, and it's not often fish, normally it's a hot dog, but we keep voting people who just give us these small appeasements to keep us unmotivated or unfocused, and we believe it. And we continually believe it and believe it and believe it, despite knowing all we want to do is learn how to fish, because I want to be successful. I don't want you to bring success to a community. I want to be successful. This ain't about you. This is about the community. So to that point, we have to really get, like you said, adamant to say that we are looking for people who are going to, and representatives who are going to teach us how to fish and not just give us fish. The phone is jumping off the line. I don't want to cut you off.
We're going to get it.
Waiting on this to come back.
Well, throw this in there. Let me throw this in there. So like while I'm barking about politicians, which one of them come back and talk to you about reparation? Okay, I'll put a pin there. I'll wait. You might catch me on a future show when you want to talk about it. But you tell me which one of them will stand before the community and talk about
So April
reparations.
30th is the day to go vote. You got the opportunity to go vote April 30th, and it's a special election.
Caller,
And
you're on the air.
Hello.
You're on. Welcome.
I'm saying, because a few things I want to talk about. When I
Please.
was talking about Tim Kennedy, it should have been spoken earlier, not the day before, the voting and stuff like that. The only reason black people voted for Lincoln because he freed them. And that's a whole new different story and stuff like that. It was the United States against each other. And the last thing and stuff like that, how is the United States going to stop a ceasefire when they can't control gun control over here?
Say
And
it.
they talking about politics, this, politics, that. I know for a fact of Byron Brown, you can write a whole encyclopedia on him from A to Z. And that's all I want to voice my opinion. Oh, one more thing. To get the neighborhood together, you got to have a block club. I went to block club, my neighborhood. What can two people do? After about 2 months, everybody get tired, everybody stops. It's a vacant building. It could turn into like a community center or something like that. What happened? People come along and buy it and turn it into a house and stuff like that. And I keep saying there's one more thing and stuff like that. You get all the other nationalities together. They with each other. Ever since we was kidnapped and bought over here, we've been fighting against each other, and that's not going to change. That's all I wanted to say. Okay.
Good. But let me do say there's something that we have to fashion up in our minds in a different way. Because often people talk about, how we got here and so forth, all true. But then the question becomes, so in the meantime, what did you do? Because if we look back at slavery, even under the conditions that they were under and the kind of so-called, forget Jim Crow laws, no laws, period, that they were forced to respond to, the made up stuff. They had to have in the meantime plan. Mm-hmm. People say we're in the belly of the beast. Okay. So how do you plan to survive while you in there until you get out? And it shouldn't be selling out. It should be doing something that safeguard what you have. It may not be that strong, but that keeps the so-called oppressor from overtaking you wholly. Because if there wasn't, then where we find ourselves as a people today, we would not be. It's clear there was in the meantime plan while the oppressor had the overall arch. Yeah. So that's something we have to realize, even in our community. If we're not getting dealt with by the system in the right way in our community, what's the end community survival plan that help us to deal with those who are wayward in our community, as well as those who should serve our community and don't?
So what are you saying? Basically, I can give you an example.
Martin Luther King Jr. said, the only time a person can ride your back if it's bent over. If you straight, you can't get on your back.
True, he said that.
So what I've been noticing lately, I can give you an example of a business that was for sale on Jefferson Avenue, Mike's Lounge. Prime example. It was going for probably about $280,000. And you would think that the community would have came together and bought that place. And instead of you putting it on the market and now we can do other things, it could have been changed over to something else. And so the owner of the place is really holding back to see if the community is going to come buy it instead of someone else coming to buy it. And now we don't have that shift of people coming into our area gaining. And so those things come up. But I've been talking to a lot of people, and what I'm hearing is folks saying this all the time. Yeah, we should put our money together. It's hard to get Black folks to put their money together and to put an investment out. If I can get $5,000 from each one of us, that's $15,000. Then with your mother, that's $20,000. We can take that money and invest it. This is what those other communities are doing, and we're not. We complaining about it, but we're not taking our funding and putting it into a pot and saying, here we are to make it work, Mr. Anderson. And that's crucial here.
And I want to reply to something else. Caller, thank you for calling. I know we have to take you out because we have more callers. I just want to reply, then we'll move to another one. But you had talked even about, you said that people only voted for Abraham Lincoln because he freed the slaves. That's what we're supposed to do. Vote for people for their platform and what they're going to do. It doesn't matter if you like the man. If he's offering you something better, you vote for it because that's what you're putting him in office for. I think we're even probably more crazy to expect people to get in office and do things they never promised. So you were going to elect the Democratic president, which, again, for your history, the Democratic Party is what seceded. You're going to elect the person who seceded and then hope that he frees the slaves in the process. I would argue that, and not saying that's wrong, I'm just saying I think that's a little even more difficult than my strategy, which is just vote for what they say they're going to do. And I think that that's kind of what I'm talking about. And for what you're talking about, which is kind of communities being together, yes, that's what we're talking about. For again, we say we need block clubs. So my question back to you would be, why don't you start a block club?
Yes.
Right? Because that's the mindset that we need to have.
Yes.
That's the mindset we need to have. Is what can I do? And what can I do? And that is the systematic, intentional thing that we'll do. And I'm not trying to put you on the hot seat or say that you're wrong, but I'm saying that this is what we've gotten so comfortable doing that we'll say we need, but we can't say that I can. And we're not saying I can and what we need. We're just talking because we're not putting any strategic solutions down. I think that we need to really start to make it intentional to say, for what you were talking about, where do Black people want to get to? Who can we put in office that's going to do it regardless of what they look like?
That's right.
And once they get in office, what can we do once they're there to hold them accountable and use what they're giving for us to then be able to take care of ourselves? Until that's the common mindset, until we get more callers calling in saying, I started a block club. Again, this isn't shots. I'm using you as an example. Until we get more callers calling in saying, I started a block club. Can you help me? Until we start doing that, we're going to struggle. We're going to struggle. And then we look at, and I'm not trying to step on toes.
I was going to say, go ahead and step on.
We look at young people. And then we'll say, oh, it's the young people's job. And I get it. I understand because we got the energy and things of that nature.
I'm going to bring your call in.
But
Calling you in.
Yeah, greetings. In terms of accountability, that's action speaks louder than words. And we shouldn't get confused about the Democratic or Republicans because they switched, the Republicans of Lincoln are now the Democrats, or the Democrats of that time are now Republicans. So that's
true.
Don't get lost in what they call themselves. Think about what their actions are, or take note of what their actions are, because action speaks louder than words. But in terms of accountability, in terms of weapons to Israel, there are already the weapons that they've already been given have been given with conditions that they are not used in such a way as they are being used. So it's not about whether or not, for me, whether you give them more weapons, have you held them accountable for the weapons that you've already given and their misuse of those weapons. So I think
you can say the same thing, Brother Kamal. You can say the same thing for the weapons that used here in America when we give out AK-47s and Glocks and things like that there, and they say they're only supposed to be used for certain things, and then they're used on our community. So the same thing is happening here.
You're exactly right. And, like I say, all politics is local. But, in terms of accountability, I'm just saying that there are already conditions that were given. And are we allowing people to, are we holding people to the conditions that they were already given? Absolutely. Much less how we give them, whether we give them more weaponry or not.
I would argue that we're disconnected. I mean, you tell me what congressperson has come back here and even raised the issue that there was a problem or something wrong with that picture. None of them. What congressperson has come back here and held a town hall on foreign policy or talk about how much of our monies that should go to the needs for people in our communities is going into the Pentagon budget? When we, see, and what I would also add, things that people need to understand. Look, a victory for a political party is not a victory necessarily for the people. You see, political parties will try and push things that enhance their power, but often with our community, that's not what they're doing. See, you take the issues on the things that we want done. They will come up with him and haws about why not now, or wait, we're working on it. Well, how long do they have to work on something for us to see better conditions? We all know it. Every adult in this community know it. And the question is, how long are we going to let it go? And when we see our young people in the streets, they're not in the streets because they're crazy. They out there trying to make a world that works for all of us. Now, what's the difference? The world that they're trying to make is a world that works for all of us. The world we have now and that so many people comfortable in and think they have arrived is a world that is exclusive and unfair. We know that. So whose side should we be on? On the side of our young people. And heck yeah, they should be upset that they can't even look to a future Harley. You tell me what young person can look to having a home, having a decent job. They can't even take their college education taken care of because of the enormous amount that it costs. We got to change these things so everybody can survive and cut back the hand of the greedy. We got another caller. We're moving on. I know I'm shouting y'all.
No.
Hey, it's all love.
Joe Anderson show.
Hey, you're on. Welcome.
Welcome. Hi, Dan. It's Ashley Brenner. How are you?
All right. How are you?
I'm good. I've heard you guys talking, and I kind of, since it's a wide variety of topics, I just wanted to let you know this morning I reached out to my council member's office regarding issues with my housing and lack of correspondence, and I had a lovely discussion with his chief of staff. His chief of staff is not quite tuned into everything that he's capable of doing, but I did not receive any real responses as to why Councilmember Bowman was unable to get in contact with me. Mind you, I did come on the radio and speak with you about 2 weeks ago regarding my housing situation, and I also have reached out via email and social media. I was able to get a confirmation from the office that a variety of individuals run Councilmember Bowman's page. So that means that they are seeing me tag them on, social media and whatnot, in addition to emails and phone calls and anything that I've asked you to do. So one of the things that you just said regarding weapons and concerns in education was like, our political figures need to be out and actively having town halls. Mm-hmm. Because I can honestly tell you, I have engaged in every avenue of trying to get in touch with Brian Bowman, and he quite literally lives 13 houses from me. So it's like, for me as a resident, I'm quite frustrated because I'm being bullied relentlessly by a landlord. I've exhausted everything through 311, went through the inspection department to include the top person in inspections, no response. I called Mayor Brown's office requesting to speak about matters, no response. The only other option is truly to what feels like litigate at this point. And so I just want to support you in saying that there should be more action from the people that we elect in.
You got that
when
right.
People like me or anyone else in the community reaches out and asks for assistance or clarity, or even demands that they do their job as a public official, as someone who's a legislator, they should get up and get it done. And I think we've all become quite comfortable with allowing this additional space and time for people to get their gatherings and their thoughts together before we're addressed. It's an old topic at this point, and I think everyone, including myself, we're sick of it. And I think if the legislators are listening at all this morning, they should consider being more active in their district to include something like a town hall where your residents can come in and genuinely tell you what the issues are.
Miss Ashley, it's Austin. It's nice to hear from you today. We're going to talk and reply to what you're talking about, because I think what you're talking about, Jim and Murray both have words to talk about, like it is that accountability factor. We're going to move on just from this call, just for the sake of time, but we appreciate your input as always. You got a space down at the station, so it's always good to hear from you. But does anybody want to particularly reply on what she's talking about? Again, just talking about accountability with our politicians.
She certainly called bowling out like it is. Every one of the council people would, rather than send out a sheet of paper, they could do a community town hall meeting in each of their areas and talk about what is really at the concern of people. But they're not going to do that. And I'm going to say they're not going to do it. They got a chance to do it. They haven't done it. And it's these kind of demands that will drive them. And if other community folks join in demanding some town halls from our representatives, I'm not talking about clubhouse meeting. I'm not talking about where they call the clubs, call the guys and the gals that they usually hang out with to come. We're going to be somewhere I'm talking about real community deposit that they don't even know.
So, Ms. Anderson, we can sum this up in one quick word. We actually can get WFO to host a town hall meeting, and that we can go live like we did when we were over there at the church. And then have everyone come through there. They did it for the eclipse. Everybody was out. So we're going to push that to Miss Sheila Brown that's listening in right now. and hopefully WFO will spearhead a campaign for a town halls meeting to have elected officials come there and to and hear from the general public in all directions. And we wouldn't have a slotted time, just say 30, 40 minutes. We're going to go for a 2-hour show of just town hall meeting, just information going on.
And you know
I'm
what?
quite sure Miss Sheila Brown, if she's in the studio listening right now,
Sure, she had no problem with it. She welcome.
This is the shakeup.
Hey, listen, she would welcome,
Yes.
And you know what?
Who gonna sponsor it?
They don't need that.
The
council people, the
yes,
same way they shoot out flyers about
Who's
things.
sponsoring a streamer?
You know,
we're gonna get you covered.
you know, we got your, in other words,
then Shy over there with the music. We got to get
hey,
everybody.
listen, these so-called representatives entitled lacking action. The moment they start to be before community, not the clubhouse, before the community, then you'll start seeing some real servicing going on and some real connection.
So we just made a connect, I believe.
And I hope that they'll beat us to the thing. I hope that they'll call and say, hey, look, I'd like to, Ms. Brown, I'd like to come on and come in and hope to do a town hall meeting on pertinent issue, on where I stand on reparations, where I stand on the conversation going on.
They always in this little room and they bottled up. The politicians come here all the time, right? On certain days, on certain shows.
They only going to certain things, and they going where they won't be pushed with questions that they need to answer, and they come pre-script. They come smiling, and I like to smile with them. I don't mind them coming with a script, but we may not use it.
Right.
It's just that it's time that they face the people and quit shucking and jiving. And you know what, people? Make this the year that you raise a whole lot of cane about them not showing up.
I think also I'm looking at politicians. I think that they're gonna do what's working. So I think that if it's less risky to just not say anything, right? If we're not making that risk of you appearing human as something that's necessary for us to get you in office, and they're never going to make that step. I want to speak on one more piece just before we close out, because I know that my job here is to talk about the young people, and I know that community requires all of us. As a young person, I'm going to say this. It is very hard to lead a charge when we don't have power. Young people want to be involved. But we need to come to some type of conclusion with the people who have the money, who have the resources to say that if you want young people to rise up and lead, and I'm speaking for myself, I done had too many times in Buffalo where I was just told things where you're telling me, Austin, it's people like you guys need to get up and organize the youth. With what money and what resources? Because respectfully, young people want to evolve in our life too. And so for us to really foster this relationship as a community that's going to rise up and be better, we need to create a community that's comfortable not only saying, hey, young people, we're going to give you things, show you how to use them, and then trust you that you're going to do good with them. But also on the flip side, that creates a community where young people are looking and seeking out mentorship. But we've disconnected this divide where I see the Black people is almost older Black people and younger, but we're not even one just Black folk anymore because we're so separated. So to represent the young perspective, I just want to say, if we want to really build power, we need to share power for it to be built. So let's just think about that as well when we're talking about making political and personal change. And lastly, before I get off the mic fully, because I know we're closing up soon, I just want to reiterate Black Music Conference Awards. Again, if you're a musician in Buffalo and you want to get a chance to win not only a $500 cash prize, but 1 month free on a podcast, songs played on the air, and an on-air interview along with second and third place prizes, please register or call for more information at 716-834-1080. And just call and ask. Again, the competition is going to be on June Sunday, the 23rd, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the M Hotel, 2040 Walden Avenue, Buffalo, New York, 14225. Y'all try saying that 5 times fast.
There's a website too. Say the
website. A little
website.
tricky. And the website as well is BMF BMMCA.com. So BMM, 2 M's, CA.com. Thank you.
So, man, you on fire today, brother. You on fire, and I feel your passion. You're a young me as well, in this vision here. But it's plain and simple. Mother's Day is coming up as well. Ms. Sheila Brown says she has 2 tables left. You can call the station here, and probably the same number, 834-1080, to make a reservation for 2 tables that's left for Mother's Day. Come check her out. Like I said, I think a town hall meeting is with WFO sponsoring the Power 96.5, sponsoring some work, and we can do it and then have accountability. They don't all have to be here at one time, but they have to be here. Action is needed, and I come from some stuff with Voice Buffalo and other organizations. When action goes out, then it's a call. The call has to go out to young folks as well. To make this work in our community, and that's what it's about. So look forward to seeing us on the Jim Anderson Show. And to my mom that just turned 81 years old, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, BK.
I
Dig
think
it.
we got a couple
Yeah, we
more.
got like a couple more minutes as we're closing out. Jim, I know tomorrow's a big day for voters in Buffalo. Are there any remarks or closing statements you want to make to voters in Buffalo? Just
Only
either
think
encourage
about
them
why
or-
you voting. And look, I ain't stopping you from going anyway, but I'm being honest. It's really important for you to think about the part of the conversation that is missing. And our representatives got a lot of conversation that's been missing. And look, don't feel bad. We juice up here and here, but we bring in how we feel. You got multi-generations in here, but we bring in it from our perspective, but also bring it from what we pick up in the community. We hear you, community. And community, you're always welcome to call in. You can call us anytime and do it often and listen to us each week. And you see a politician, you tell them, when you gonna get your butt on the Jim Anderson show?
Yeah.
You ask them. Don't even ask them. Say, man, you better get on there. I'm waiting to hear you stand up and represent. Get over there. Or say, madam, you better get on there. I'm waiting here.
Yes.
Look, they don't rule us. There is a job of service. And if they're not serving, don't you serve them by voting for them. I'd rather see you run than to vote for somebody that ain't serving you. So that's just my piece. And I wish you a wonderful day. It's going to be warm. It was already warm this morning. So let the warmth enrapture you. And hey, guys.
Thank you, Buffalo. We appreciate it.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, y'all have a great day. Bye.